Hello folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to design your own custom template using the Trongate framework. Now this is going to be a two-part series. In this video we'll do the design, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to add the design to the module market. So other people will be able to come on and download your design, they'll be able to check it out and look at reviews and everything. And who knows, maybe you can even sell the design if it's good, you know. And that's what's coming up. Now I've got a whole bunch to do here, sounding a bit like Derek Banas, but I really have, and I want to make this video less than 1 hour. So I am going to be going a bit faster than normal, but it's all just HTML, and I'm sure that you can handle this. So we're going to be building a design for a university website. This one's going to be kind of influenced by my old uni, the Uni of Glasgow. And to kick this one off, I'm going to encourage you to download the Trongate desktop app. It's available from trongate.io/download. Surely you don't need me to remind you that it's all free. Okay, so shall we dance? Let's do this. I'm going to open up the Trongate desktop app and I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to call this app Uni. And we're going to have a base URL, some connection details, and I'm going to chuck this inside htdocs. There we go. So here comes our new app, just the ordinary blue page and no surprises. So I'm going to open up my text editor and I'm going to go to Applications, XAMPP, htdocs. Your path might be different, but it's this Uni folder here. Now I'll get rid of this docking bay thing and make some room. And so to start this one off, I'm going to go to Modules, Welcome, and we'll open up this Welcome controller file. Now you can see that it's loading up this Welcome page. That's what gives us this blue screen here. But we are going to add a new view file. I'm going to call it Uni_template. Uni_template, okay? Now let's save this and we're going to go into views. We're going to have a new file called unitemplate.php. Now let me just quickly put a page together. I'm using Emmet, so that was an exclamation mark and a tab, and I'm going to link to a style sheet which is going to live inside CSS, and it's going to be called trongate.css, and I'll change the page title so that it says Uni template. Okay, now let's start this one off with a nice header, and I'll just say here we go, and I'm going to do the styling directly onto the page. So let's just say style, and I'm going to say that the header is going to have a minimum height of 400 pixels. That's ridiculous, but it's just for the moment. I'm going to say that the background color is blue, okay? And let's refresh, and you should have something like this. Now let's right click and inspect. And when you do that, you're going to see, hopefully if you've got this Elements tab selected, you'll see a little color picker here. And I want you to go in and choose something that makes you feel good. I'm going to go really dark here. Maybe I kind of like with a little touch of purple, something like that, okay? But you don't have to copy me. Anything that makes you feel good, but let's make it nice and dark. And that is the color of the header. Okay. So how about if we get a more reasonable minimum height in, maybe something like 120 pixels. I'm also going to have a font color of all the E's, and for this particular header there's going to be two divs, one on the left with a logo and one on the right with a bunch of other stuff. Alright, now let's focus on the logo here to begin with. We can give it a class of logo, and I'm going to just say that .logo is going to have a font family of Garamond, comma, serif. Okay, now let's just save and refresh. There we go. Now, for our header, I'm going to say that the display type is flex. I'm going to say flex direction is row. Align items is center. And justify content is space between. And watch how that sends these things to the other sides of the screen. Can you see that? Okay. Now for our header, actually we're still dealing with the header here. For our header, if it's a direct descendant div, I'm going to say that the margin top and bottom is 0, but left and right is going to be 24 pixels. Let's just save, refresh, there you go. So it means it's not going completely to the edge of the screen, right? Now let's focus on the logo here. The logo is going to have two main parts to it. So we'll have two divs. The first one's going to be a picture. Then we're going to have some text in two parts. At the top it's going to say university. And underneath we're going to have a span with a class of smaller. And we're going to say of. That's going to be small. And then we'll just say whatever. Okay. Now let's bring this to life. If we save and refresh, you can see how this is looking here. So for absolute maximum clarity, I'm going to say background color is green. Let's just make it something crazy. And for the logo, if it's a direct descendant div, let's give it a border of 1 pix red solid. There we go. And how about, just for extreme clarity, we'll say that the width is 200 pixels and the height is 200 pixels. That's ridiculous, but it helps us to see what's going on, okay? Now, let's say that for the logo, the display type is going to be flex and the flex direction is going to be row. Alright. Now let's say that for our direct descendant divs, for the first one, so that's the div of nth child 1. Now that's the one where our picture lives. I'll say background color blue just for clarity. Actually, hold on a minute. Hold on 1 minute. Div, direct descendant div. You know what? I'm trying to get this picture one and I missed it. But don't panic. We're just going to right click and inspect. It's no problem at all. So I'm going to click on this div. I'm going to right click and copy that selector. Okay, so here we go again. We'll just do something like this. There you go. There you go. So it's the one with the picture, right? And I always get mixed up with that stuff. You know, the aligns and justifies. I always get mixed up. But there we go, right? Now for this one, I'm going to say, actually, for both of these things, so for both of these divs, we'll just say display is flex. Okay. And I'm going to say align items center. That should hopefully, although maybe not, change the vertical height. In fact, I don't think it will. It's justify content center. I'm just guessing. Alright, maybe it doesn't change the height. But align items center does. Perfect. Okay, that'll do us. Now, let's do this second div here. Actually, we'll take out that div thing. So, second one. And I'll give this one, for clarity, a background color of tomato. Okay, and I'll say div 2. So there it is, right? So for the second one, I'll say, let's have a think here. I think we can say flex direction. Column. Let's save and refresh. and align items, flex start. That's cool. I'm feeling good, and I hope you are too. So let's now just say that the font size here is 33 pixels. And for the one that says smaller, I'll just say if it's inside logo and it's dot smaller, then the font size is going to be 21 pixels. There we go. Kinda cool, kinda cool. Okay, now for the picture, I'm going to use one of these symbols that's on our computer just for speed. I don't want to be faffing about with Photoshop. Now I had a look around on W3 School CSS and I found something that I thought would be quite good. It was this one here, the fleur de lis. I think that's how you say it. It's a little symbol that I think came from France. Now I'm going to copy this and I'll read it out to you. Stay cool, I'm going to read it, right? So where we have the pick, it's ampersand, then the hash symbol, 9884, then a semicolon. We're going to go back, we're going to refresh, and there we go. So, back to our style shenanigans, where we have our first child right here. We're going to say that the font size is 110 pixels. 110 pixels, that's kind of cool. Now we'll get rid of the insanity. So let's get rid of the blue, the crazy width and the crazy height, the red borders, everything that was kind of crazy. This stupid tomato colour, let's get rid of that. The green background, we'll get rid of that. That was all just for guidance. And there you go. Okay. Now, on our second div here, we can add a little margin left of 7 pixels. And if you really want, you can, on the first one, add a top of -5 pixels and position relative. So I'm just nudging it a tiny little bit. Okay, so that's the logo. There it is. Now, let's talk about the bunch of other stuff. For the bunch of other stuff, I'm going to have 2 divs. The first div is going to contain, actually, in the strictest of terms, I don't even need 2 divs. I can just do a UL straight onto this thing here. And the idea is that we're going to have a link that goes somewhere. Where it goes, no one knows. But I'm going to say link 1. So this will be link 2. Let's have link 3. And link 4. We'll do 5 of them. And finally, link 5. Just ordinary links, okay? Now, save and refresh. There are the links. So we're going to say that if we're dealing with the header and there's a UL, then the margin is going to be 0. The display type is going to be flex. The flex direction is going to be row. The list style type is going to be none. And let's just save. Alright, that's looking cool. I'm also going to say that if we're on the header and we see an LI, then let's have a margin left of 20 pixels for each of those LIs. I think I'll also say that the font size is 1.3M on the UL. So that's looking kind of cool. Now I'm going to say that if we're on the header and we have a link, let's make the color all the E's and the text decoration none. So no underline. However, if we're on the header and we have a link and we hover, then I'm going to say let's make the color go white. And we're going to say text decoration is underline. I use that everywhere. I just like that effect. So there we go. Alright. Now, underneath this little list here, right here, we're going to have a form with a class of form horizontal. Okay, now where it goes, no one knows, doesn't really matter. But we're going to have a form input And then we're going to have a button. We'll just write go on the button, okay? Now let's go downstairs. And we're going to say that form horizontal is going to be a display type of flex. Flex direction is going to be row. Let's just save and refresh. Okay, now hold on a second. Why did that not move it over? Class is form horizontal. Let's go downstairs. Oh, I had a typo. Just a typo. So save and refresh. There we go. Now let's say that if we're talking about form horizontal and there is a button, or even if we're talking about form horizontal and there's a dot button. I know that that style dot button is part of Trongate CSS. So if that happens, let's say that the margin is 0. Excellent. I'm also going to say that for the button, for the dot button, and even for the input with a type of text, for all of those things, the border radius is going to be 0. Isn't that fantastic? Now, let's think about mobile devices. If we go on to a small device, you can see that we're a little bit crammed here. Do you see that? It's just not working. So I'm going to do some media queries. We are going to say media, and in brackets, minimum width of 1 pix. This is mobile first. So we're going to define what happens on a small phone. Now, what we really want to do is get rid of this second div here. I'm not going to embarrass myself again by getting the wrong selector. I'm just going to go to the inspector here, right click and copy selector. And on a small screen, here it is here. We can trim this down a wee bit. And we're just going to say display is none. Save and refresh. So I'm refreshing it. And hopefully that is perfect. I think that's looking really good. We can also actually say, I just thought of this, zoom, and maybe chuck in 0.8. Something like that. I don't even, of course, hang on a second. It's for the header. For the header. Here we go. Header. Alright, we'll try zoom of 0.8. Save, refresh. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like it. Now let's do another media query. This time, it's going to be for a big screen. We'll say minimum width is 1000 pixels. So on the header, we'll just say zoom is 1. And for this little beauty here, we'll say display type is flex. So we're going to refresh. Everything looks good on a small screen. And over on a big screen, if we refresh. Okay, now, why, oh why, does that look so bad? Do you know what it is? It's because we said display flex. It should be display block. So let's refresh. There you go. Okay, so small screen. Looks okay. Let's rotate it. Nice. And a big screen. Perfect. I love it. Alright. So now we are going to do our main area here with the content. So I'll just say main. And I'm going to have a class of container, a little paragraph with a bunch of lorem. So we'll go downstairs and we'll say, just before the media query, let's say that .container has got a background color of all the D's, and it's going to have a width of 80%, but a maximum width of let's see, how about 1000 pixels? Let's save it, refresh. Okay, I think we could do with a margin top. So I'll say that the margin top is 40 pixels. Let's change the color as well. We'll make it a nice dark color. So all the ones with a font size of 20 pixels. Okay, save it, refresh. There we go. Now let's check it on a mobile device. I'm going to inspect and click on the little mobile icon. And I think that's pretty cool. Okay. So now we're going to do some meaningful content. Let's get rid of this little lorem thing here. And we're going to have a div with a grid. It's our own little custom grid. That's what we're going to call it. Now we're going to have a div inside the custom grid with an H2. We're going to say headline ahoy. We're going to have a little paragraph. Then we'll copy these links here, you know, the UL vibe, and we're going to paste them inside here. Let's have a little indent. Don't forget to smile, save it, and refresh. Okay, now I would like to have 5 of those things. That's right, you crazy rock and roller. I said 5. So let me do a little indent here again, just for neatness. I'm going to copy this thing here. And we're going to paste. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Let's refresh. Okay, that's cool. Now, we're going to go to the styling section again. And right before these media queries, I'm going to say dot custom grid. It's going to have a display type of grid. No surprises there. We're going to have a grid gap of 1em. And then inside the media queries, let's say that on a small screen, our custom grid is going to have grid template columns of 1FR. But on a big screen, we're going to have grid template columns of repeat 3 times at 1FR a pop. So let's save and refresh. That's what we get. That's all right by me. And now let's just say that for our custom grid, if it's a direct descendant div, we're going to give it the same background as our fabulous header here. And I do assume that you have your own color selected. You don't have to copy me. So let's just whack that in. Background color is that. Now again, I'll say that the color is all of the E's. And in fact, we can copy this little thing, head up to where we defined the header links. I'm going to say comma, pasting on in. There's a little link, comma. There's a little link here as well with a hover vibe. We're going to save, refresh, and there you go. Moving on down, I think that for these direct descendant divs, we should say that the padding is 20 pixels. Save and refresh, that's not too bad. Let's also say that for the custom grid, if it's an H2, the margin is going to be 0. The font size is going to be 20, maybe 28 pixels. And the font weight is going to be normal. Alright, that's nice. Okay, let's check it on a mobile device. We're going to inspect. And as you can see, that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Now, let's make some nice colours. I don't want all of these to look exactly the same, right? So grab that nice background colour that you had there. And we're going to take a trip to Google. And we're going to search for colours on the web wizard. Colours on the web wizard. Now let's chuck in the background colour and calculate. And I'm going to pick out a couple of nice colours here. So here's a nice purple. Do you see it? So I'll copy that. And I'm going to say on the style thing, if we have a div with a class of purple, then the background color is this. Okay, now up to the first div here, I'm going to say class is purple, save it, refresh, and there we go, a nice purple color. Now let's also add in a class of, let's say, 2/3, okay? And what this 2/3 class is going to do, well, if we're on a big screen, then 2/3 is going to have grid column defined as 1/3. So if we refresh, you'll see that that's now filling the whole page, and everything looks fine. Okay, now let's add in a little search box, shall we? So on our first headline ahoy, here it is here, let's just say search our courses. Now you can keep that in if you want, doesn't do any harm, but we'll chuck in a little form here. Actually, it's going to be remarkably similar to this form, so let's just copy this and we'll just paste in. Okay, but instead of saying go, maybe we'll just say search. Alright, so a nice little form, that's okay. Now, over on the right hand side, we're going to add some nice content. I really want us to have some meaningful content if we can, so I've grabbed some text from the University of Glasgow website, and if you look in the description, you'll find a link to a GitHub page. Follow that link and you'll be able to download this little beauty here. It's a folder with sample content, okay? And it contains some text, and it contains another folder with images. So I'm going to ask you to download that, extract it, and we're going to copy the images, and let's paste the images into where our website lives, and specifically into the public folder. We'll be using the images in just a moment, but first of all, let's go to our text editor, and we're going to open up our sample content folder. And I do have just a little bit of text. There's nothing fancy going on here, actually. It's just going to save us from typing, okay? So let's copy the first one, and we'll go back. Now this is actually for section 2. So here's section 2 here, right? This one right here. And we'll take all of this junk out. And how about we just paste in some nice text like this? Okay, save and refresh. And look on the top right, doesn't that look nice? It's so nice to have good text, you know. So let's do section 3. I'll go back to this sample text thing. And again, there's nothing fancy, it's just ordinary text with little links going on. But it saves us a whole bunch of time. It would be the most boring tutorial ever if I had you typing all of that in, okay? So we'll paste in, have a little indent, save it, and refresh. Okay, perfect. Now, let's do the next one. So the next one, if we just go back here, is going to be section 4. So again, I'll just copy, head on in here, and we'll replace this junk text with our nice text. It really, I think, I don't know, it just makes me feel good, you know? Just makes me feel kinda good. Section 5, same vibe, ordinary text, nothing weird going on here. We're just saving some time, folks. Okay, here we go. Pasting in, little indentation for the nation, save it. There you go. Okay, so that's our first one. Now, I'm gonna actually get a couple of colors for this and try and make it a bit interesting. So over on the bottom left hand side, let's go to colors on the web. And I do like this nice green color here. I'm going to copy that, head downstairs, and I'm going to say that if we have a div with a class of .green, then the background color is going to be that little beauty. So on the div we have that says flexible study. Okay, let's find that one. I know it's here somewhere. Where on earth is it? Did I not paste that in? I don't know. Oh, you know what? I was case sensitive. Anyway, we'll say class equals green. Save it, refresh. There we go. And here's an idea. Let's make the middle one a light color. So I'll say class equals light. And we'll just go downstairs again. And we'll say that if we have a div with .light, then the background color is going to be white like this. There you go. And we'll say that the color is all the ones. Save that. And in that instance, let's also just say that the links are going to have a color of steel blue. Save and refresh. And if we hover over these links, so :hover, well, I'm just going to say, do we need to say anything actually? Yeah, we'll keep the color as it is. So color steel blue. There we go. Okay, I think that's looking kind of good. Now I'd like to add some pictures onto this. So let me go back to where it says flexible study again. Flexible study. And I'm going to add on a class of no padding. Now what no padding is going to do, we'll just define it here. You can guess. If we have no padding, it's going to say padding 0, and that is going to be really important for us. So save and refresh. There's no padding. But we're going to have a class of add padding. And that is going to say that the padding is 20 pixels. Okay? So here's the idea. If I take you back to the flexible studying part, here it is right here. We're going to have two divs. The first div is going to contain an image. The image is going to be inside images, and the name of the image is uni.jpg. I'll just say alt is university. Now save and refresh. We have a picture. Let's just get this picture under control by saying if we have an IMG, then the maximum width is going to be 100% and the height is always going to be auto. There we go. Okay. Now, back to the flexible study thing. And we're going to have, you see this second div here? Well, all of this text is going to go into the second div, like so. We'll have a little indentation and a class of add padding. There you go. Isn't that fantastic? Now let's do another one of those. So where we've got this light one, I'm going to say no padding. We'll do the two div thing again. And we'll have another image. Now just for speed, I'll copy this. And I've got another picture here called students. I'll just say alt is students. For the second div, we're going to have a class equal to add padding. We'll copy all of the text here. So let's copy that. And we'll paste in. Indent. Save and refresh. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Alright, Now let's see how this thing looks on a mobile device. I'm going to inspect. Just make sure that this is looking okay. And I think that is looking not too bad. Alright. Now let's just do a few finishing touches. So at the end of this thing here, the end of this div, I'll add a paragraph in with a button and I'll just say, find out more about whatever. Something like that. It just, you know, it makes it look less mechanical, okay? And how about if we copy the entire container here? Copy the whole thing. And then we'll move downstairs and we're just going to paste in. Okay, so save and refresh. Look at that. We've now got 2 of them. Now for the second container, I'll keep the thing with the picture and whatnot, but I'm going to get rid of those first 2 divs. Let's just get rid of them, okay? There we go. So the second one is, as you can see, it's smaller. And for this one, you guessed it, I do have some sample text. So if you have a look at section 6, I've left that for you. We're going to copy. And we're going to paste that. Now we'll get rid of the green. I'm actually going to create a dark font in a minute. We'll do that in just a minute, right? But let's just paste in our content. Here we go. Little tab vibe. Save and refresh. That's pretty cool. Now let's define this dark font. So I'm going to say that if we have a div with a class of dark, then the background color is going to be all the ones. There we go. Okay. Now actually, now that I think of it, the world changing research is going to have no padding. I just remembered I've actually got another picture here. So let's do a couple of divs. And once again, we'll have an image. We're going to have a picture here on the base URL images. Now this picture is called earth.jpg. Okay. And we'll have another div with a class equal to add padding. And let's just chuck our text in here. I actually forgot about that picture, so I'm glad I remembered it here. There we go. Little indentation. Save it. Refresh. And there it is. Okay. Now, it's just text all the way now. We've pretty much finished this. So let's just get section 7. I'll copy. Head on in. So here comes section 7. It's this little beauty. Where on earth is it? It's this one here that says light. So we'll just go like that and paste in. And you know what? I should have kept the div with the class of light in it. Forgive me. Forgive me. So it's actually just the contents inside where it says div with a class of light. That's the vibe. Okay. So I'm selecting little indent, save and refresh. Now we'll take out this no padding. We do want padding on it. There we go. Now here comes the final section. So I'm going to go to section 8. And again, I'll just copy this. It's just text with links. It's no big deal. So now, for this one here, we'll just copy this. Paste in. A little indentation. So, let's just do that. Save and refresh. And there we go. Now, we're starting to look a bit regimented with this thing, so let's mix the colours up a wee bit here. So we could say for the last one, class is green. There we go. And in fact, I think that's it. Actually, let me just do a couple of corrections that I spotted in the edit. I noticed I had a typo here. I had button with 3 T's. I noticed it just as I was editing the video, so we'll fix that. And let me just refresh. Oh yeah, another thing that I noticed as well was when we said, now where on earth is the thing? Yeah, see when I said this div light hover and I repeated like this, I could have actually just copied this and it would have been better if we did that and then add in a little comma and do that, you know. I think that's a bit better. And the very last thing I thought of was, as we save and refresh, I think having white in the center all the time is a bit miserable. So let's look for the one that says centers for blah blah. Where is it here? This one here. And instead of it having a class of light, let's just say purple. Save that. There we go. So I'm just mixing it up, you know. So that is the thing, okay? Here it is here. And there's how it's all turned out. Alright. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you'll join me in the next video where I'm going to show you how to add this to our fabulous module market. I'll see you then.